All right, guys, let's talk about the featured bout out in London, UFC on ESPN +5. It features Volkan Oezdemir versus Dominick Reyes. Volkan's already been through the steps that Reyes is trying to get through. He's been a title contender, coming up short against Daniel Cormier, but what I want to point to is the second loss that he took. He's off 2 in a row now, and I feel like a fighter is usually pretty dangerous when they lose 1, but 2, I think your back's against the wall. Not because your job's in any peril or there's any threat of losing it, but because you're going to now fall out of being in that circle of being a title contender or being within striking distance of a world title. Volkan Oezdemir, this is a huge, huge fight for him. At the same time, Dominick Reyes, 10-0. I mean, look awesome against St. Preux. I didn't know if he had the savvy, I guess, and the experience to get past an St. Preux that early in his career, but I learned a lot, and that's why I'm going with Dominick Reyes. By the way, he's the favorite. I usually have to side with the underdogs. He's the favorite at -265. Volkan Oezdemir comes back at about +205, and that's pretty consistent across the board. But I think Reyes, the first round is going to be very, very key, and I think Volkan's going to come out blasting. But if he can get past that, then I see him probably cruising to a decision, or maybe even getting the finish himself. So give me Dominick Reyes. Who do you like in this one, Goose?
You feel this?
Yeah.
It's called pressure. And I think that's what Reyes is going to do. He's going to come out. He's going to put a lot of pressure, and I don't think Oezdemir is going to even have time to think. That's the type of fighter this guy is, and I think he's getting this matchup for a certain reason. I think the UFC sees that as well. Reyes. I expect him to come out like a lion from the get-go. I don't see this fight lasting that long at all.
And it's not like Volkan can't turn the tables and put him out. I mean, that was his rise. I think Manuel was one of the ones left in that wake that got him to the title shot. I remember he had a nice 3 or 4 fight win streak that got him there. And I remember one of them was in Anaheim, California. It may have been the Manuel match. And I happened to run into Rumble Johnson, and Rumble Johnson, that's his teammate, said, man, I'm telling you, if this guy can do what he does to us, inside of the gym, Combat Club, he can be a world champion. I mean, Volkan Oezdemir is no joke. But could that have been his run? I don't know. What do you think, Dan Tom? What do you like in this one? Young guy or older guy?
Well, you're right, George. I mean, 2 losses in a row makes you very dangerous, but they do call him Volkan, not Volkant. So, I mean, he can definitely come strong here, guys. He's done well for as an underdog, at least for myself. I picked him to at least upset at the time a Jimmy Manuwa at a UFC 214, I believe it was. So he's definitely got the skills, and both these guys fight beyond their years. But as much as I side with you on that, I also side with Goza's point that I think it might just be too crazy to where no matter what game plan either party might be bringing into this fight, guys, I think that pressure that Goza said, it's going to bring it to a quick boiling point, and we can throw those, fight intelligence, fight IQ, which both guys are very underrated. I think we can throw that out the window. Both guys are also underrated grapplers, so we could see some ground action here. It's not all fisticuffs.
Which should Reyes introduce wrestling just so future foes know, oh, wait a minute, this guy's not just going to stand and bang.
I would like to.
He comes from a wrestling background.
You're exactly right. I would like to. And to add to that point, the odds kind of surprise me here, guys, but I got to imagine maybe the odds makers are listening to people like us who have been saying, I've said it on this radio show as well, that, this guy's a dark horse in the division. He's on his way up, and maybe he's not so dark anymore as the proverbial horse that is Dominick Reyes. But when I go back to watch his earlier footage, like you noted, George, he does come from that wrestling base, athletic background, has some wrestling there, and you see it in his earlier fights before the UFC. Not just wrestling, guys. He's transitioning, he's riding, he's striking. He's not throwing his hooks in. He's not giving up position and falling over the top of the guy, not making those rookie mistakes that you even see at the UFC level. I say rookie mistakes, but he's showing that maturity, and you're right. That OSP fight could have been that time where, the mature veteran kind of takes him out here, and we could see that again. He's still young. He still has plenty of lessons to learn, and the O has got to go at some time in this sport, right, guys?
Oh, are you leaning towards Oezdemir?
I think he's real dangerous here, especially if you're looking at underdogs, but I'm actually going to go with Reyes here, guys. I don't know if he's going to get him out of it, though. I think what Go said is right. The pressure is going to make this a crazy fight, but regardless, win or lose, Oezdemir is going to test Reyes, and I hope that doesn't fall as Oezdemir's role, because I think he has a higher ceiling than a proverbial gatekeeper, maybe what the odds are depicting. So he's probably going to come in with a chip on his shoulder. And I'm a fan of Volkan, but I got Reyes here, guys.
All right. Looks like we're consistent here with Dominick Reyes, but I think we all feel like this is a live fight. And maybe the odds should have been a little bit tighter. Who knows?
Yeah.
Volkan, remember, was less than a year ago. If I'm not mistaken, he was fighting for a world title. He earned his spot, too. So tune in on Saturday, UFC London, UFC on ESPN +5, it's also called, or UFC Fight Night 148. Choose whatever. Tune in, and remember, we got you locked and loaded over here at MMA Junkie.